Us now, third in command of the all-powerful House of Delegates super majority I love saying that, isn't it? Super majority in Virginia, led by Commander Bill Howell. Tim Hugo joining us now, caucus chair. Delegate Hugo, good to have you with us, sir.
Good to be with the commander of common sense, sir. Thank you.
Now, you're, Tim, you grew up on the south side. Your sister is in Virginia Beach. You got to tell her to come to Vino's. 138 Battlefield Boulevard. Mention my name, she gets a free appetizer. Tim, by the way,
on the phone right after this program to call her.
Tim, I'm just saying, by the way, your sister is much better looking than her brother. How'd that happen? It's not even close.
You tell her I'm younger, though.
I'm just saying, right? I mean, look, I'm trucking the truth, man. You know, that's it. Now, there's no truth to the rumor that I have Kirk Cox hair envy. It's not true. Absolutely, that is false. Right? Not true. Now,
fair enough.
Mr. Chairman, let's get to you fired a rather riveting letter off to the governor's office. Not too happy about this Syrian refugee situation as it relates to Virginia. Can you share with our audience what was behind that?
Sure. Thank you for having us on. I think what we sent to the governor, and it was a number of members of the Republicans of the Virginia House of Delegates, was a request first, respectful request. One, join the 27 other governors, Republican and Democrat, who said no, President Obama, do not bring Syrian refugees to our state at this time. And what we also said is if the governor's not going to do that, when we come in session in January, we're going to introduce a bill that says we want to have a 2-year pause on the state cooperating with the federal government using any of your tax dollars to bring Syrian refugees to this country. Look, we have sympathy, we have empathy, we can send money over there, but somebody said to me, Tim, how could you not do this? Why are you not, where's your empathy? I said, look, I want you to understand, I do have sympathy for folks over there. It is a tragic situation. But my first and foremost job as an elected official is to take care and protect Americans and Virginians. This is a tragic situation, but you people need to remember, the majority of the 11 hijackers had Virginia driver's licenses. You're hearing about Syrians trying to come over the border in all different ways. This is a tough situation. Our job is to protect Americans.
Well, it is, and look, we have a number of processing centers in Virginia, and as the State Department says, these are welcoming communities, several of them in Northern Virginia. I mean, I can't for the life of me, Delegate Hugo, understand why you would take the risk of taking these refugees in when we already know that one of them, at least one, falsified a Syrian passport getting into France. We know that 6 have been arrested trying to come in through Texas that were illegitimate. If you're ISIS, Mr. Chairman, aren't you going to do everything in your power to embed the U.S. Syrian refugee process with terrorists? Aren't you going to do everything in your power to find a way to get them into the United States? And what they're saying is, well, the major vetting process, 18 to 24 months, is after they're here. So if I come into the country illegitimately and I've falsified documents, Tim, to get in, and I get off the plane and I go into the refugee holding center, and I pretty much can be assured that the FBI is going to eventually out me, why am I going to stay there? Why wouldn't I just leave and flee?
Well, John, you've nailed it. You've nailed it. Once again, you've hit the nail on the head. They're going to come here. And don't take my word. Your readers or listeners don't need to take your word. Take their words. They have said they're going to infiltrate the refugee population. Take the words of the Obama administration officials, not the president. Take the FBI director. Comey, who went to William and Mary, take his word when he testified last month in front of Homeland Security, the Senate. He said there are big gaps in the Syrian vetting process, that we do not know the background of a lot of these people because they're coming out of a civil war. They don't have a database. They don't have fingerprints. They don't have records. You could tell somebody you're whoever you want to be and come through the process. That's the FBI director. And here's the other one. This last week, the head of the CIA, John Brennan, said it is foolish and naive to think that the ISIS is going to contain their actions to Syria and the Middle East. He said, not me, not you, not anybody else, they want to come to America. They want to come to Washington. And my point is, Washington, D.C., Virginia is in the shadow of Washington. I live up in Northern Virginia now. Literally, a lot of your listeners, a lot of friends of mine are traveling on the road right now, traveling into Washington, D.C., commuting. And my job, our job, the governor's job, should be to make sure every one of those Americans, every one of those Virginians is as safe as possible. He's not, and he should.
Well, there are 10 welcoming centers for Syrian refugees in Virginia: Arlington, Charlottesville, Falls Church, Fredericksburg, Harrisonburg, Newport News, 2 in Richmond, and 2 in Roanoke. So my question is, if you live in Arlington and one of these refugee services centers is on your cul-de-sac or in your neighborhood, are you going to be all right with that? Are you just going to trust that everything is fine? Or would you be looking over your shoulder? That's the question. Now, the government isn't telling the governors, right, where these people are, what the vetting process is. They refuse to provide any information. So, Delegate Hugo, my question is, why would you take this risk? What is the purpose of rolling the dice on your safety when the only thing that the people like me and you were saying is just stop the program until we figure it out? Why the haste?
That's it.
Why the haste?
We're saying in Virginia, the bill I have, hey, take a 2-year pause, take a break. The House of Representatives, Congress yesterday, with 47 Democrats, just said they want the FBI director to personally guarantee. That's what we're saying, because it only takes 1 or 2 to get through the system. This is a serious time. We've got to be careful. We're talking about the lives of our family, wives, husbands, children, and this is when the FBI director himself says there are huge gaps in the program. You're absolutely right. What are we doing? I think the president, they've got a liberal leftist ideology that's run amok, and they really need to let go of it in this case. They need to let go of it in every case, but especially this, because it's dealing with the safety of Americans.
Look, Mr. Chairman, this doesn't make any sense. Now, assuming your bill is going to pass the House, and I think it will, and it probably is going to pass the Senate also, what happens then?
Well, we're going to put it on the governor's desk, and I'm hoping that he'll listen. Look, we have liberal congressmen like Jerry Connolly voted for the House bill yesterday. There's Democrats and Republican governors across the country. I'm hoping that people will talk to the governor, Democrats, independents, Republicans. He'll listen to Virginians and say, you know what, they're right. The safety of our Virginians is paramount. Not listen to President Obama, not listen to Hillary Clinton his friend Hillary Clinton. Do what's right, not for them, but do what's right for Virginians and the safety of Virginians.
I'm in favor of sending legislation to the governor or the president and then allowing them to veto it, because that's the way the process is set up to work. So you do the bill, it goes to the governor, he vetoes it. Now he's got to have a reason for vetoing it. You're probably not going to override it in the state Senate. You might override it in the House. So some people say, well, it's all to do about nothing, because at the end of the day, it isn't going to pass. And even if it did, the states have no authority, because President Obama has already said, and his chief of staff have said, that governors can't do anything anyway. So there's one argument that says this is just a lot of grandstanding. How do you respond to that?
No, I don't buy that at all. One, I think it's important for people to stand up and say what's right, and that's what we're doing. And that's why the 27 governors across the state or country are doing it. That's what we're doing. If you don't let people know there's a problem, they'll never know it's out there. So we'll let them know. Two, what the state government and the agencies many times have to cooperate with the federal government to do this. We are saying we are going to offer no cooperation. That's what this bill said. No tax dollar from a Virginia citizen would be used for this refugee program. And you know, if the governor wants to send money over to Syria to help them, hey, we may put on a charity event. We're going to think about to put on a charity event to help them over there. We're just saying we can't do it here and guarantee the safety of Americans. And John, I really do believe that it's a message. When I think it's a message that's taken on a life of its own. People are talking about this. And so it is important for us to introduce the bill, have the discussion. And I tell you what, when you see 47 Democratic congressmen, including liberals like Jerry Connolly voting for it, is what your listeners are talking about and what your listeners talk about at the kitchen table is resonating, and it'll make a difference.
Well, you know, Mr. Chairman, I think part of this is looking at these attacks in Paris. And if you look at the city of Paris, it really mirrors a lot of American cities today. Open cafes, people coming and going on a Friday night, having fun, in and out of different locations, you know, a soccer game or a football game. And so you see that, and it really hits home because this is not like some bomb that went off in Africa where it's too far removed. I mean, when you saw what happened in Paris and you saw how coordinated this effort was, and there were at least 8 people involved, and who knows how many more. And, you know, it's no different than taking my wife out tonight in date night at Vino's, and we're going to go out to eat, and our son is someplace else, and our other 2 kids are someplace else. You know, you see what happened in Paris, and you're like, you know, that could happen here. Right?
John, look, John, like I said, you know, I grew up in Virginia Beach. It's not like they're attacking a military installation. They're attacking the soft targets. You're exactly right.
Right.
So they said they put out a video this week about New York City. They said in their magazine, their online magazine, Washington D.C. They're going after us in cafes, in where these young people were just watching some music. It can happen. That's why we're saying be careful. We're not saying we do not hate anybody. We respect everybody, but our first and foremost job is to protect Americans, and that's what we've got to do. And those that don't do that, I think they run a risk of having some major regret if something happens here. And that's what I'm calling upon the governor, and I'm going to call upon the president too, because if it happens here, it's their fault.
Look, we had Scott Ridgell on our show yesterday, Congressman, Republican, 2nd District, Virginia Beach area, and he said that one of his Republican colleagues who was having dinner with him, I guess it was a Wednesday night, who was on the fence with this bill, and it might vote against it, and, you know, was giving him the argument about, you know, you have to, it's the American way and whatnot. And Ridgell said right on the air, he said, well, if you vote the other way and someone sneaks in and they blow up, maim, or murder Americans, he said to the guy, he wouldn't tell me his name, he said, you know, I'm going to have a problem with you. And it was a kind of stark statement because basically what Ridgell said in his own way is that you'll have blood on your hands. And I've got a problem with that because my job is to protect Americans. And so I care about the Syrians. Let's, like you say, let's send them money. Let's find something to do. Let's get the Saudis to take them. Let's get the United Emirates to take them. But if something happens and you were in favor of letting them in, then you're responsible for that. I think Ridgell's right.
He's absolutely right. And I've done a couple forums where people said, oh, my goodness, you know, you have an obligation to the Syrians. I said, no. My prayers are with the Syrians. I will send them money. I will organize. I will speak out on their behalf. But my obligation is to Americans and Virginians. And I think every elected official needs to take that obligation to their constituents, to Americans, very seriously, especially in this time when they're attacking civilians around the world. If you didn't hear this morning, I just heard this morning that they took over a hotel in Mali, Africa, 100 and some hostages.
Unbelievable. Again.
Soft target, just people on a vacation. We need to be careful about this.
Unbelievable. We want to thank, we're out of time, we want to thank Mr. Chairman, House of Delegates member Tim Hugo, third in command in the House. You want more information, go to timhugo.com. That's timhugo.com. He's also chairman of the Marco Rubio campaign in Virginia.